Welcome to the Marshall Pruett Podcast, presented by Cooper Tires. We have a bit of a little gem here, left over from May, what was meant to be a podcast on the 25th anniversary of Unser Sr.'s last run at the Indy 500, where he finished 12th overall in 1993. For whatever reason, I don't honestly remember, ran out of time, ran out of something, was unable to get this produced and posted, so here we are, a little bit later in the year, but nonetheless, spending some time on the phone, not too long, with the four-time Indy 500 winner. Fairly awesome. It's great listening to him talk about that 1993 run, his final. He did come back in 1994, tried to make the show, did not qualify, and really interesting to hear the thought process and the rationale that was involved in his decision to step out and step away from the cockpit and say, okay, I've gotten everything I'm going to get. I've done enough, and it's time for me to bid farewell to the Indy 500. So, just a bit of a, I don't know, it's always a treat, but it's always a bit of a fun walk back in time, speaking with Mr. Unser about all he achieved. So, a little bit of a delay here, but hopefully you enjoy it. You know you can get every episode of the Marshall Pruett Podcast on iTunes, on Podbean, on Google Play, Spotify, and a variety of content aggregators. And also be sure to check out our Marshall Pruett Podcast Facebook page, where every episode goes up the moment it is live. All right, off we go with the man himself, Unser Sr., on his final Indy 500. Well, looking back to 1993, realize that this year is the 25th anniversary of your final run at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I know there was a qualifying attempt in 94, but in terms of your last race, I thought it might be interesting to look back to 1993 on this 25th anniversary and maybe just start by asking how the relationship with King Racing and Kenny Bernstein came together for you to be in that car for 1993.
Well, what happened was in 93, I was going to run for John Menard. And John Menard decided in 93, the beginning of 93, to put another guy in charge of his racing activities. And he never was involved in racing whatsoever, so him and I didn't get along right away. And I just decided not to run for him. And then I called Kenny Bernstein, and I said, because Kenny had called me and asked me if I would, had a ride. I told him, yeah. And then when this happened, then, I called Kenny back, and I said, is that ride still open? He said, yeah. I says, well, here I am. So then that's how I got hooked up with Kenny. And, Kenny put a big effort towards it. It was, we would have finished very well. I can't say that. I think if at the time the car went sour, the motor went sour, I could have won the race. But everybody says that.
Yeah, of course.
But I was in contention. I was running third or fourth, if I remember right, and I was right where I wanted to be towards the end of the race. And then we made a fuel stop, and when we came off the fuel run, when the green came out, the thing started missing. So that did it. They just all went by me, like I was marked.
So that was the other thing that stood out to me was, yeah, this might have been what proved to be your final Indy 500 after, you're making your start in 1965, but this wasn't what we've seen in some other cases where, someone's been at the 500 for many, many decades, and their last race or so is, a forgettable affair. In 92, you finished third with Menard. You finished 12th here with King in 93, even with a motor going sour. And it's not as if these were soft and easy fields. I mean, these are fields packed with just animals. So that's maybe the other thing that impressed me is that in your last two 500s, you're still right up front fighting. Not a lot of folks can say that when they're saying farewell to the Speedway.
Yes, yeah, I really, the Speedway it's a jewel to me, and it's something that I think anybody that runs there, I don't know about most of the young drivers today, I mean, that place has the finesse that you have to go after. And it sometimes smiles on you and sometimes frowns on you. So you never know, exactly what's going to happen. And it's a difficult place. You think you got it made there sometimes. And sure enough, something goes wrong at the end, as it did in 93. I mean, I still think we could have won the race, but, you can't win it on 7 cylinders.
The other couple of things that come to mind, Mr. Unser, is we had a very unique timing of things in that Rick Mears, 4-time Indy 500 winner, retired in December of 92. The 93 race for you as a 4-time winner was your final, and our friend A.J. Foyt also gave it tried to or thought about competing in 93, but then retired from the event as well. Any thoughts on just how unique it is that the 3 4-time winners of the Indy 500, effectively in a 6-month span, all either completed their final race or said, my time in this phase of my career is over. I just think it's remarkable that all 3 of you, in such a short amount of time, stepped from the cockpit.
I don't think that any one of us ever thought about the other one like that. Because Floyd retired or Mears retired or Unser retired. I don't think that happened. I think that, there comes a time in your career or your life that you're not happy or you're not competitive. I call it being competitive. And I just looked at myself and said, I was out watching my son in 94 qualify, and plus I wasn't with a good team that year.
Yeah.
And the team just wasn't producing, and I don't think I was driving like I should have been driving, say. And I caught myself out there on the pit apron watching Al qualify. And I looked at myself and I said, what am I doing? What is this about, Al? Talking to myself. And I just said, well, you don't have the desire nor the will to go after it anymore. You need to quit. And I always said that when it comes time for you to quit or retire, you'll know it. And I just looked at myself and said, it's time. So I went in and told him, I'm going to retire. I'm quitting. And I made a promise to myself that I would never come back. And I have lived up to that.
If only you had one of the motors in your son's car, you might have extended that by 1 year, though, because I'm sure that might have changed your opinion a little bit, sir.
Well, at the time, nobody knew. Penske kept, that team kept their mouth shut so tight.
Sure.
It was amazing, I still laugh about that, There's people says, well, why didn't you know about it? That was your son. I said, let me tell you, my son didn't want anybody to know because it would take it, away. Penske told him, if you tell him, I'll probably hang you. I don't know if he told him that or not. But, I mean, it's just one of those deals that a team like Penske could keep it quiet, and they did until it was, too late. When it was known what was happening, well, then USAC the next year cut his throat. Penske's. And it's a shame.
Guess the last question I had for you, sir, is how does it feel looking back knowing that we're 25 years since your last you completed your last Indy 500? Does it feel like it's been that long, or does it feel like just yesterday?
I think it feels like yesterday, but I know, when I retired in '94, every year after that for a long time, I would get very excited, during the Indy time. And now I don't. Now I just take it for granted, and I still want to watch the race on TV, and when I can go there, I still want to go there, and watch it, because I still get excited in a different way.
I don't think it's a passion that leaves you, no matter how many times you've been there. I mean, you raced there 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, you were fortunate to fill so much of your life at the Speedway, but I know, at least from my own, having spent roughly half my life there, I can't imagine the passion for it will ever go away. I might not be working in the sport at some point in the future, but even in retirement, I'm sure I'll still be tuning in and watching it, because once it gets into your blood, I don't think they've come up with a way to get it out.
Well, to bring the, to say that, what I just said, that's why my wife and I started that racing museum in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Because I still had the desire at that time, but I knew I didn't have the knowledge or the drive to do it. But, it's one of those deals that we just built the museum, and when people come in and they say, what did it feel like? You just ask, what does it feel like, to win? And there isn't anything more exciting to be able to stand there at the museum and tell them how I felt the day that I won each one of my races.
Wow.
There, and it's just a really remarkable feeling to be able to do that. So the racing museum carried me, and made me still appreciate what I did.
And that was Big Al, the man himself, the 4-time Indy 500 winner. Thanks again to him for taking some time, and apologies to him as well for taking many extra months to get this up. All right, I'm Marshall Pruett. This is the Marshall Pruett Podcast, presented by Cooper Tires. Thank you for listening.